Good evening. I'm fiddling around. I've got the radar running. I thought you'd like to see it. Looks like I put the paint on with a trowel, but it does look the part, doesn't it? I haven't put the railings around the top that I want to put yet. I've got some repairs to do. As I say, I'm fiddling around. There's a bit of fence. I don't know how to pick that up. There's a bit of fence broken off on that control tower. Lots of the security fence to put up. Yes, lots of little itty bitty jobs. Now I have been distracted by the Arduino and the program. It's taking ages. It's very interesting and I'm getting there. One of the things I know I need to do, it's a military airport, very small airport. It's got a very big radar for a small airport. This is the airport security fence. This is the road that goes to the shop and onto the cricket ground. And this is the road to the airport. Now, the edge of this board then matches up with the airport. And this is where the security barrier would be there, which is more or less where the tail of that plane is. I've been looking for a barrier, and of course the Arduino being able to go whoop, whoop, makes a lot of sense. And I found one online that had the dimensions of this stir stick. I thought, well, I can make one. But that stir stick is the same fatness as a semaphore signal. And up on my wall here is a semaphore signal. Let me put my hand there for scale. That would be a really big barrier, wouldn't it? I mean, what's that, about 6 inches or something? Yes, I mean, we just want a pole, something as fat as my finger or perhaps a bit bigger. Don't need a great big boom. So look at the person, and he's a double O, not H-O. That's a great big barrier, isn't it? My goodness. Now, in my ongoing, let's get this place cleaned up, I know somewhere I've got some pipe and rod that was used on a layout for changing points. That's, I mean, years ago, but there's quite a bit of it left. I have no idea where it is. I mean, I have looked everywhere. And I'm fairly organized. Yes, I think there's one more place I can look. If I find it, I'll use it, but I can't find it. So what I'm looking for is a little piece of tube. May then cover it up with red and white tubing and shrink it down. I can't paint, it seems. The preparation for painting is the thing, isn't it? Yeah, let me see if I can find that. It's absolutely no good opening drawers that are completely organized and you know what's in them. Even an empty drawer in which I'm going to be putting some new computer boards, but I'm all ready for it. I'm organized and I can't find those tubes. I've put them in a safe place and can't find them is what I've done. All right, an overview of the layout, which is what a number of you have asked for. Branch terminus station. The plan is that it would go on eventually. Let me just talk about that real quickly. So the ballasting stops somewhere here. The idea is that this end goes away, fiddle yard goes there. And there would be a track running around it still. So these would then end up in that. So that would go from branch to through. Always been the plan, just one thing at a time, will you? When the branch was first built, underground trains were not a thing. They simply didn't exist in 00. I'm very pleased to hear that they now do. So, was originally a diesel and steam branch, but has progressed. It's now third rail for the electric EMUs. It's a single track, will eventually become underground. So the underground trains come along the branch and off into the tunnel. There was originally, when I first built the layout, there was a little siding there for an engine shed. And I think I've talked about this in another video, but basically the train would pull into the station. There's no runaround, so the steam engine would unhook at the other end. The engine shed engine would then back onto the train, pick it up, run it off into the tunnel, and away it would go. And then the engine that was stuck at the far end would come this way, run through the junction and into the engine shed. All very clever. Except that it wasn't, because at the other end of the branch line, through the tunnel there was really just another duplicate, a station down there with no runaround. And so the train would come in, and now where are you going to get the engine to pull it out? So that didn't work. I had the station running automatically. The station building there I've stolen. It's over there on the big station now. But this is eventually to become the underground. Hiding in the back there is a 2-road fiddle yard. Only one of them is hooked up at this point. So the other end of our tunnel there comes out, splits, and goes into another tunnel. And you think that simply ends up as the 2 platforms. But of course it doesn't. It splits under there somewhere. And way in the back, I don't know if you can see that, but way in the back there's a 2-road fiddle yard. So that's kind of exciting. I like the arches here. Originally this was the only scenic part of the layout other than the branch station. These tracks exist but weren't operational. So yeah, that was it. This was my first go round at automation and all sorts of other fun things. There's a tram up there. You see that? The tram line, and the tram's down here. And the tram would shunt backwards and forwards on a little shuttle that I built. I was kind of proud of that. That has hit my radar. All of this will go. Oh no, yeah, but I've got one thing at a time. But we will take it away and rebuild this end of the layout eventually. These 2 tracks then head off that way and run all the way around the room, and then up the incline, which is underneath there. You see it over the back there. Folded dog bone, so the incline, this is the top of it. So the 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4 of a folded dog bone. This and that area, of course, will get sorted out when we get that far. Now, down to the station throat. These 2 tracks come along quite handily past the deal signal box and the engine shed, the relocated engine shed. This is where it ended up. A little bit of a yard there. Interesting junction, carefully thought out. There's not many big mistakes I made with the layout, a couple. And then there was the original fiddle yard. Off it went into a fiddle yard, which is now a station. I put platforms where the fiddle yard would be. So there's 2 fiddle yard tracks under the tunnel, and then there were a bunch of them here. But scenic crept up this way. I'm going to go to the bridge. Before we get to the bridge, quick recap. That's the midpoint of the folded dog bone. Nice little village, lots of fun and games going on down there. All sorts of scenes. My brother, the undertaker, there he is. There's a funeral going on at the chapel. Yeah, we recently extended the bay platform, and we're about to animate that signal. Building site going on over the back. So that was the original layout with the folded dog bone heading off this way, past the night mail. So round we go past the part that we're going to end up redoing. And that's where I was a moment ago with the engine shed, moving on to the big station. Now there's a number of videos about the big station. This is a recent edition. Lots going on here. This building I cut down. This was the building that I stole from the other end of the branch line. It's had a knock the last few days. I was doing something underneath and knocked it. It all lights up. We spent a couple of videos explaining how that works. We got the Belisha beacons working and all that good stuff. You might have noticed the layout is dark tonight. That's because there's a cleanup going on. So under the arches, my workbench is just down there. And so that's the view I get. This is the fiddle yard, now station, and there is a canopy that goes on there. So a big station with a canopy. The canopy really needed to be over and over, if you know what I mean, but I screwed up, lost the little legs. That's what I've been looking for, trying to get them. But it does, if you don't tell, I won't, it does fit right down the middle. Now, upper through lines, there's another level crossing got to go off the end behind the bus there. We need to ballast that upper viaduct. And then down here, one of the things I was working on recently was that. It's the right height, but I screwed it up by cutting the arches too high, and now there's not the way I wanted to fix them. But I like the look. It's not long enough, but that will be at the back of the station. It will look as if there are more platforms drifting off into the distance. So that's the plan. There really isn't. The spacing between those rails is minimal. The reason for it, of course, it was a fiddle yard, and there's just not room to move them out. So we can't have much in the way of buttresses on the front there. So that's a real issue. But that's what I've got in mind. Now, as we come away from the station, this line runs off on its own into a tunnel. And of course, there's a fiddle yard in there too. Little local trains, usually 3 carriages. There's one, I think, that's 4. Most of them are 3 carriages long. Originally, it was diesel multiple units. But as I got the trains running, they come into the station here, that way typically, take off. They then show up on this platform, going the opposite direction. The sequence has been that when this one stops there, this one takes off there. So it takes off, heads into the tunnel over the scissor crossing, goes around a loop and parks back in the fiddle yard. So there's quite a distance for the train to go that way and to get it back here. It's got to go up around the loop and back down again. So it's one of the few trains that uses the other end of the dog bone, if you see what I mean. So the path for a train running on that track would be out around the end of the room there, not going anywhere near the branch line, and running around and then up the incline, coming all the way along the top of the incline there. And before this line was in, would then just go around the loop and back the other way. So the local passenger services hiding in there actually did the most long distance running. Now then, the long haul express, there's Southern Region train there, and then there's a couple of long trains hiding under there. One of them was the night mail. It's out on the circuit right now. And I believe there's a tornado hiding under there as well. A couple of very nice trains, but they don't go to any station going that way. Not typically anyway. So they head out of the tunnel over by the deal signal box. So they come out there. They head up around the village and up onto the upper track. But they can't get back to their fiddle yard because I send them down the bypass line so that they don't go on the single track part up there. They come out of here, over the crossing, depending on where the computer's routing them, through the station that way, around again. This potentially one of the mistakes. Once they're out on that track, they can't get to this track without going through the station first. So it's a very, very long path. This junction makes perfect sense. Double slip, turn off into the branch, but you still can't get from there to running this direction on that with that configuration. So you got quite a long way to go, and you end up having to reverse run to get back to that single track down there, which is underneath the viaduct. Comes all the way along there into that 2-lane, but 4. You can get 3 trains in there, so there's one on each of those tracks, and the track behind them you can stack another train there. So that the long express trains have quite a convoluted journey to get back to the home base if they're running in that direction, which is a struggle. I'm not going to get into why they run in that direction, but they do. More recently, of course, we added a airport in the void space. That's what it used to look like. There was a big hole and no backscene. I only put that up a couple of weeks ago, but decided, well, why can't we scenic this end? So we put a level crossing in and did some clever stuff, and then put something in the hole. That's the something we put in the hole, and some of you have already seen that. Just recently added the lifted track. So this is a single track. So this is more suited for the local trains rather than the long distance express. But yeah, kind of a little bit of a rabbit warren layout. Hinges on things, so whole chunks of the scenery do lift up so you can get at things underneath. Not going to do that right now. I've tried hard with some scenic scenes, one or two of them I'm quite proud of. The waterfall works well. You've seen me make that over the last few weeks. And we're now filling in some of the other gaps. So there's a street appearing here. So yeah, it's coming along. The plan was to start here and move that way. I wanted to get to that street. I've got some ideas I want to play with there, but I had to get this done before that. Otherwise I couldn't put the back scene in. Got bogged down here. Still haven't done that retaining wall. It's becoming a running joke now, isn't it? Quite proud of the hop field in the background there. That did work out well. Got this corner to clean up. This corner to scenic. I can reach that standing here, so I'm not overly worried about it. The airport is sort of kind of next. You heard me talking about the barrier right up at the front. The barrier would work very nicely. Mind immediately went straight to that signal. I could put some conrod to the signal box there and drop down there. The where that is doesn't really lend itself to it. I just need, there's plenty of hedge there. I just need something under the board to make that work. But this is at the complete opposite end to where I'm supposed to be. So now I'm back to saying, let's get a barrier working for the airport. So we're back to airport and Arduino. I've still got the Arduino on the desk. We're getting there with the programming. Also well aware that some of you think, what? It's a toy train channel, not an Arduino channel. Yeah, it's all integrated, isn't it? There's so many things that just, yeah, all mixed up together. I'm trying to weave things in and out so that I'm not dumping all painting one day on you and all Arduino for 6 weeks or something. Or all scenic stuff, or all repairs. There's been no trains running for a couple of days. That's because I've changing the power supply, and I was working on that today. Not everything I do ends up in the videos. I'm trying to keep them interesting, trying to keep a little bit of variety. So that's what I'm on. Back on with retaining wall, barrier, airport, ground cover for the airport. We'll end up with that hole getting covered at some point. Got to tidy up along the bottom of the backdrop in places. There's a little bit of a bulge there where it's curled. I'll just have to push that against the wall, I expect. And then we've got to come back and start fixing up some of the 20-year-old, 15-year-old anyway, scenery that is a little bit worse for wear. Ballast, yes, about that. So that's what I'm up to. Radar, working. You can put a tick in that box. Barrier, I've got the mechanics of it working. So we're at the point where if I put a push button on the board that joins those two wires together, the barrier will go up and then it'll stay up for 10 seconds and then go back down again. Come on, 10 seconds isn't this long. There it is. Got some spring wire today. This is a boing wire. It's very thin. This is the kind of stuff you put in the pipe that I can't find. So attaching this to that and then to the barrier will be the general idea. I'm still working on Arduino programming in the background. I'm not going to bore you with it. There's plenty of other channels that do that. So why would I duplicate that? I will show you the important stuff as we go along. But it's lines of code. And if I get caught out by something, I'll let you know. So that's it for today. We'll get another one up in a day or two. Thanks for watching. Oh, I must run some trains. I'm just feeling it right here. Thanks for watching. See you next time now.